Man, it is 2011, and we still got this tension between black Pokemons and white Pokemons. I mean, we're going to realize
really, we ran there at the very beginning.
At the very beginning, man, this is important.
You couldn't save that joke. You couldn't keep that orgasm in for 2 minutes.
No, got to get this out, man. I'm tired of this Pokemon on Pokemon violence going on, man.
It's all fun and games until you find Pikachu hanging from a tree.
Exactly. All these Pokemon lynchings in the South. Jim Crow for Pokemon. Hey, so if you want to know what I really want to get to right now, what's more amazing to me is that I never thought that I would see the day when I'd be on the phone with 3 grown men talking about Pokemon. But such is the case right now because Kevin knows what I'm talking about. But such is the case because people, I'm joined here by Jason Murphy, a.k.a. The Murph.
Howdy.
Of course, the always lovely Kevin Baird.
Greetings.
And joined by somebody who's new to the loading bar, which is Carlisle, who's from the movie side of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you're a Pokemon fan. You've been a Pokemon fan from a long time ago. I remember you and I used to have dates going to see Pokemon movies together.
Well, we saw a Pokemon movie together.
Is it just one?
There was one Pokemon movie that we saw together. And we were both there because I wasn't there as a Pokemon fan. While I am a Pokemaniac, I like the games and not the animated series or the movies. I find those kind of obnoxious. In fact, the worst thing I think they've ever done is your favorite Pokemon thing ever, which was Pikachu's Vacation.
You goddamn right. I thought that was I mean, what? You're making me feel more like a shithead here, more like a creepy pedophile or something, because you're telling me that's the worst thing they've done, and I think that's the best thing that they've done.
Well, it's 15 minutes of Pika, Squirtle, Pika, oh, Bulbasaur. And for 15 minutes, it's like, what fucking drugs do you have to be on to understand what the fuck is going on here? And you're sitting over there clapping along, and like you're like the retard who got ice cream.
Yeah,
happy as can be.
Somebody give Corey a corn dog.
Well, to answer that question, shrooms helped a lot that morning. So
I can imagine, like, that might make sense on shrooms. Like, maybe if you had just hit some salvia and came back into reality to that it would almost feel right. But when you're a caffeine and nicotine addict like I was back in the day, that shit was nails on a chalkboard.
And it probably would have been that way for me. I took shit just to go see that movie, so that's probably what helped.
He ground up little Pokemon bones and snorted them.
Yeah, fucking Squirtle. But man,
I said that to a girl once. Yeah.
You gave her a Pikachu?
I did.
On her
I think it's called the purple Pikachu when you do it the way I did it.
Yeah.
Pikachu.
Yeah, he Pikachu'd all over her chest that day. Listen, now it's become nasty time for you. Oh, stop it. Listen, so we're talking about Pokemon Black and White right here, and I am apparently not a fan of anything Pokemon except the shitty short that came out years ago. So I don't know too much about the Pokemon lore or gameplay when it comes to the titles that come out on the DS or any of the other previous consoles. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys to talk mostly about this. So first of all, Black and White, what does that mean in this case? It's just two different DS systems that this is for. One is black, one is white.
It's a cash grab. Yeah, it's basically the same game, but with two different exclusives. And yeah, I don't know. It just seems a little crass to me. Carlisle has an explanation for it, though.
Well, yeah, the Pokemon games have always been this way. The idea that Game Freak has had from the beginning was that they wanted to make it's the reason why they don't have big, large, immersive console games for this. They wanted from the beginning to make games that required kids to deal with other children. That if kids were going to be playing video games, they wanted them to have to interact with other kids. So there are two different games. One game it's like you have the exclusives that are on the cover of the boxes, but there are actually several different exclusives that once you beat the game, you can only access through one particular game or the other. And there's 62 new Pokemon in this one, I think is the number.
I think that's right.
And you can get like 150 in one and 150 in the other. And in order to, if you want to collect them all, you have have to trade with somebody else. So it would be one of those things where Jason played white and I was playing black. So if I wanted to get a few of the stray Pokemon that I don't have in my Pokedex, I would go over to Jason's and we would trade Pokemon back and forth, and I would try to give him the ones that he needs and he would give me the ones that I need. You only need to play one of them. You don't actually need to play both. But if you want to complete the Pokedex, which is an option in the game, that requires you to trade with other people or be really hardcore and have 2 DSs and 2 DS games. Now, I'm not saying I'm hardcore in any way or that I might complete my Pokedex in this manner, but it sure beats, hanging around with the kiddies.
Is that an actual thing, a Pokedex?
Yes, yeah. In the game, one of the first things you get is a Pokedex, and you're charged with going out and finding as many Pokemon as you can. And any Pokemon that you see gets added to your Pokedex, and if you capture them, it's added to your catch Pokedex. And you get rewards in the game for how many Pokemon you've seen and how many Pokemon you've caught, but it's not required to complete the game. The goal of the game is to build up these badass little cockfighting monsters that you take out and try to beat the crap out of the Final Four and the reigning champion of whichever region you're in.
Yes, for those of you missing the basic premise, it's about catching cute animals and making them try to kill each other.
Yeah, it's like
yes,
it's like Gladiator times for little mutant creatures. By the way,
for something called Lillipup and Purloin.
Lillipup is the cute version. He grows up into a big, huge Scotty dog with a mustache.
Yeah.
I like the way you say that with so much enthusiasm, too. But he grows into a big Scotty dog with a big
I actually
fucking
don't
mustache.
like that one at all. That's actually one of the examples. There's a thing. It's every generation since the first one. You could tell when the creators are getting bored and can't come up with any new ideas, and they're like, "I know, we'll have him be a Scotty dog." And we'll call, he'll grow up from a puppy to a mid-range dog, and then he'll be a full-size dog. They can't just be a dog. Can we do anything more creative? He could be a dog with a mustache, and you have Pokemon like that in every generation. And then you have other great Pokemon which are really awesome, that are really different, that are strange and bizarre and wonderful.
Yeah,
and then sometimes
ones, those are the best ones.
Yeah, the ones that are like, hey, look, it's a lamp with eyes on it. You're kind of like, come on.
See, that's just weird to me because I also have a Pokedex, but I usually have mine reserved for girls' phone numbers, and I use it on Friday. But yeah, people.
I choose you, ho.
Well, you know what, Corey? We do believe that if there's anyone out of the group of us that will catch it all, you will.
And I have, by the way.
Pokemon syphilis coming soon.
But
I thought Pokemon Black and White was the Corey version.
Working on it. But the thing that is so fascinating to me about Pokemon is that Pokemon fans range from small children to creepy old guys who continue to play Pokemon today. And the reason why the allure is still there is because, from what I understand, I only saw the game as people just whipping out balls, as nasty as that sounds, and throwing creatures at each other and having them fight. And apparently there's more to that. It's also a very strong element of RPG gameplay and storytelling that goes with this.
Well, that's what I was going to say is that, Carlisle talks about the depth of the game that people get into. It's almost like a cult following in a sense. And I've never actually played Pokemon. This is my first Pokemon game. And I was always worried about playing Pokemon because I didn't have the interest to do this kind of let's go trade Pokemon and sit in the yard at my work, and go out into the grass somewhere with somebody and, I don't know, to pass the DS back and forth or play against each other. But I found that the game is actually, exactly.
Why does it sound like it's Woodstock all of a sudden?
I know.
It's like, dude, pass me the DS.
Yeah, because that's what you got to do, right? Like you're in elementary school and it's recess and you're like, what do you got?
Kevin's I saw Pikachu back in 2009.
Yeah. I'm like this really old guy, I'm going to be out what Pokemon do you guys got and stuff? And that's never going to happen for me. So, I found that this was a fairly confident RPG, so it was really fun like that. But I have no interest in doing that whole collecting the Pokemon in the Pokedex. If I look at the Pokedex and there's 7 missing, oh well. I'm never playing that again.
You're not going to walk the mall.
Right.
I have played and beaten every generation of Pokemon at this point. I've played it on every console from the Game Boy on up through, the Nintendo 64, the GameCube, the DS.
Did you play that Pokemon Snap where you took pictures of the wild Pokemon?
No. Again, I'm not interested in I'm not interested in Pokemon as the aesthetic of the Pokemon. I love the games, specifically the RPGs. So yeah, I've avoided like the Pokemon Snap and the Pokemon Ranger series. I'm talking about just the straight up Pokemon games, and I've never caught them all, and I've never tried to catch them all. It was one of those things where, for a long time, I felt it was just a marketing gimmick, and I did realize, after reading several things by the company, how hard they fought against Nintendo to keep from making these console games and these large games, because they honestly, the guys who created this and still control it, believe that this should be a social game, and they believe in social gaming and not social gaming in the way that it has become in this day and age, where we sit alone in a dark room at our computer and talk to people over headsets, but where you actually interact with friends in real environments and get together and play together, and that they've encouraged that from the beginning. And so it's, when you're in my age group, it's not so easy to find people who want to interact that way. So it's never been a priority of mine to complete the Pokedexes. But I have,
and if you do find them, they're like living in a bell tower.
Yeah. I would say that there's usually Comic-Con. It happens once a year, and there's plenty of those people around for you to find. But if you want to get into the deeper elements of the game, there's a story mode to this, right? I mean,
that's all there is. It's a straight up story. It's an RPG. You get your first Pokemon, you're given some Pokeballs in your Pokedex, and you're sent out into the world to follow a linear storyline that takes you through to defeating the Final Four and the reigning champion of the Pokemon
But
League.
With this being like a story and having a story mode here, are you given heroes and protagonists? Because I know one of the things about the game is, like, look, if you're an older player, it's kind of creepy because you still have to play like a 10-year-old kid, and you also have to go out and you have to fight an antagonist. You have a team of villains there, what they call like Team Plasma and the Seven Sages, which is like the new Wu-Tang Clan or something.
Well, it's weird because I'm just a few minutes into this game when I first started, and all of a sudden it brings up the ethical considerations that Team Plasma has this like rally in one of the towns, and they're like, maybe we shouldn't be enslaving Pokemon and making them kill each other. I was like, preach on, dude.
Yeah.
I found myself agreeing with the bad guy right off. I was like, has it not occurred to anyone that this is kind of fucked up?
So no, we've always said that. Leon actually compared this to like cockfighting a while back. He's like, you're taking these poor animals who don't know any better and training them to like beat the shit out of each other, which I don't know if that's actually something that has occurred over time with these stories to some of the kids out there. If this is like some sort of lesson learning thing, like maybe the Pokemon should be let go to, I don't know, pursue their own lives and start another Pokemon sovereign nation or something.
I always thought it was like PETA. Like, it was just like some PETA thing. Like, they were trying to say, we shouldn't, like, enslave animals and everything. So now they're just, like, using Pokemon as a reference or something, But I thought it'd be...
like PETA's funding the whole thing here?
Right, yeah. Except that it'd be kind of weird that the Japanese would be involved in that. It's like, let's screw with the Americans.
It's kind of like when the Pokemon are done fighting, we take them and, like, turn them into glue or eat them or feed them to dogs or something. Yeah, I don't know if it's that deep or not, but...
Yeah, well, you're gonna find a farm of abused Pokemon where they're all starved and shit. And they're about to get put out to pasture because they can't fight anymore. There's a website and a commercial with like Sarah McLachlan singing some
Save the Pokemon. You see one Pokemon limping, another one leg and shit.
Yeah, they're all stitched together and everything looking like Franken Pokemon.
The distinction that's drawn in the game in particular is that Pokemon aren't animals. Pokemon are actually kind of magical beings. No, they're magical beings. There's actually a long history that's developed over the games, and if you pay attention to it, that there's this whole mythology about how the Pokemon formed and over time started evolving and changing and forming into all these various different races of Pokemon that have littered the land, and that they're inextricably tied to human beings, and that Pokemon want to be with human beings because human beings and Pokemon kind of complete each other in kind of a friendship sort of way, to where where a human being grows better through its association with Pokemon, and it's the same with Pokemon. I mean, it's a very positive message, and it's something that in the game is presented that Team Plasma doesn't quite get. And
what hope is there for humanity if there are no Pokemon in real life then?
Well, people end up leading sad, lonely existences where they sit in their homes in the dark and listen to podcasts by jackasses playing video games. So, that's the world that you have without Pokemon.
Well, you know what? You've just given me a lot more education on Pokemon. I just thought that they were animals that just got crossbred so much that they just mutated into things that squirted stuff out of holes in their bodies and shocked people and shit.
Now, I won't go into the mythology because, frankly, the mythology's fucking stupid. But as much as I love Pokemon, the more they get into the deeper, mythological elements of it, it's like, oh, come on, this is fucking cockfighting. Just let me fight.
Let's get into some of the games, because we're sitting up here talking about Pokemon and all that kind of shit and the history of it. But as far as the game itself, I'm going to list some of the things that the game wanted to do. And you guys tell me if it actually did this or not, because they've been touting a lot of the improvements that the game has made over time, such as there's a new battle system here. I think that you have 2 battle styles. You have triple battles and you have rotation battles. Now, with these new battles, they run a little bit smoother and you can combine your moves. And also, one of the things that I hear that you Pokemaniacs like out there is that whenever you start a battle, I think for every new attack, you can switch Pokemons with that. So, I don't know if any of you other guys are qualified to answer this question, but I know, Carla, you are very immersed in these Pokemon games. Do you find that the combat is a lot easier this time around, or improved?
What it is that's kind of right. What it is there are 2 new styles. There were 2, types of combat styles to begin with. There were 2-on-2 battles, which got introduced a few games back. And then there's the standard 1-on-1. And the 3-on-3, it's just weird. But it works. And then there's the rotation battle, which is another 3-on-3, but there's only one Pokemon up front at a time, and you can swap them around and do moves. The other thing you're talking about is there are now a few special moves in the game which allow you to attack and switch out at the same time. And there's only a few of those moves, and only some of the Pokemon can learn them. But they are cool moves. There's one called Volt Switch in particular that you get as a training machine midway through the game that Electric-type Pokemon can learn, that allows you to zap your opponent and then swap out to bring in a Pokemon that would be have a better chance against whatever you're fighting.
Yeah, it actually added a lot of depth. I mean, because the game really starts off. I know Kevin was saying how he was really afraid that he would be lost with all the lore of Pokemon or whatever. But It starts off really simply, and you just dive right in. And then as you play it gets incrementally more complex with a lot more options for the fighting.
And Kevin, how was that for you? Just being like, you said you haven't played a whole lot of Pokemon games before, and now you're new to this and being a new player. I like the balance that we have here because Carlisle obviously has a lot of experience with this, but you were fairly new to it. So was it easy for you?
Yeah, it was easy to understand and get into it. It does get, it amps up in complexity. I mean, at first you start off with 1 versus 1, and then you get into like 2 versus 2, and you start to play off different types of Pokemon against each other, fire is good against the grass type and water is good against fire or whatever it is. And you could actually pair up different Pokemon together to work those combinations. So, I mean, it goes through a very gradual process. It's a really long game too. I mean, you basically go as your character from little towns, you get into the big city and everything, and you're fighting people all along the way. Not just randomly out in the grass, but you're just meeting trainers in the game, and they're constantly challenging you to fights. And it gets a little bit kind of crazy because everybody you meet's handing you a Pokeball. There's 8 different Pokeballs. I don't even care what they all mean. They're just like, this one works good in caves and stuff, and you're like, all right, I guess
Don't you mock the Dusk Ball? You laugh. The Dusk Ball is the single greatest invention in the history of Pokemon. It works. It works at night. It's actually, the thing is there's actually somebody posted the mathematical equation online. There's actually an algorithm to whether or not you catch a Pokemon, and it involves the base amount of hit points times 3 divided by the hit points times 2 with modifiers from how many status effects you've layered on it and what kind of Pokeball you're using.
And I'm the weird one for liking Pikachu's Vacation.
Yeah. He's so weird. He likes things with complex math and strategy, and I like listening to Pikachu. Yeah,
I do.
He's right. There is so much. I mean, it does get so deep in here that I'm like trying to keep notes. Like, okay, this move works really well against this one, but only when I'm at this level with this character and with my T-Pig and blah blah blah. There's really so much to consider going into any one fight that there's a lot of strategy involved.
Yeah. I agree.
So, and basically your Pokemons that you're still using are kind of 3 classes, grass and water and fire?
No, you start with grass, water, and fire. There are 15 different types of Pokemon. Okay. And of that, there are many Pokemon that share 2 types. So there's, there's an endless number of possibilities of different types of Pokemon and strengths and weaknesses. But you start out with your choice of a grass type, a fire type, or a water type, and then you catch them from there.
And did they improve anything about how you can interface with the game? I know that they've added a C-Gear menu to the game, which kind of makes it more streamlined when you have to either battle your Pokemon or if you want to trade your Pokemon.
Yeah, it's actually greatly improved. There's a whole setup that allows you to interact with anybody who's using a DS in the area that has the infrared or Wi-Fi capabilities, and it allows you to trade straight out of the menu instead of having to go back to a Poke Center.
Yeah, there's like a whole crazy online mode that appears in the bottom screen of your DS, which shows like wireless online infrared, like these weird lights are flashing all the time, and there's like a meter and all this stuff, and you can like enable different things and go in and send your Pokemon to like this island where they can hang out. And I mean, I don't think all of it is activated yet. I've heard that some of it isn't, and I'm not sure. And then there's like, at one point I found these dowsing rods in the game that like appears on your bottom screen, and as you get near things, like it starts to alert you and you can find hidden. I mean, the game is like really deep and complex. I mean, to the point where I don't really much care. I just want to fight the battles. I'm just wondering.
You just want to go in there and abuse Pokemon and kick ass.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the things that I've noticed about the Pokemon series is, like Carlisle was saying, is that it's been kept off of console systems. Is for the DS, which is your handheld system, and I haven't seen any of these games in a while. And looking at them, I'm kind of curious about how they grow visually, how the graphics. I mean, now reading on this game is they're kind of bragging about how they've improved some of the graphics on it, especially a lot of the 3D graphics, which I guess makes the environments a little more lush, a little more visually appealing. And I guess it adds a few more animations to the characters. Is this true?
Yeah. The thing that must be said about Pokemon is the animation has always sucked. It has always been about 10 years behind the curve. When the first games came out here in the States in 99, it was very much the RPG Game Boy graphics of 1989. And now we finally got up to the point to where it looks like an RPG on the Super Nintendo. A few scenes kind of get up into Nintendo 64 levels, but the graphics are much better than any other Pokemon game before it on the DS. We mentioned that there aren't console games. There aren't immersive console games. There are 2 console storyline games that have a very limited amount of Pokemon you can catch. It's Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon XD, but those are the best looking things that have ever been put out for Pokemon. But this is the best DS, the best Game Boy handheld game that they've ever put out visually, and it's really great for this game. But comparatively, it's not anything to write home about. I mean, there are many other DS games that just blow this out of the water. But as far as the fact that this is a Pokemon game, it's really good.
So improvements, but nothing major.
Right.
Well, you have 2 modes here. You got like the story mode, and I guess you go out and you have the mode where it's the equivalent of multiplayer where you challenge other people out there. But if you have the story mode, How many hours of gameplay you getting at?
I beat the game.
Too fucking much.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I beat the game, and I beat the game a little earlier than I was comfortable with beating it. I probably should have trained up my team a bit more, but I did beat it. Beat the first half of it, at least. I beat the major storyline, and that was 39 hours and 15 minutes of play.
Now, is that straight, or being that this is like an RPG, you have any side quests that you can do?
Well, that included some side quests, and the thing about Pokemon is Pokemon has always had all the major side quests after you beat the Final Four, and here in this particular game, it unlocks a whole mess of side quests. All of a sudden, there are a few new legendary Pokemon that get released into the world that you can go out and find. You have to go track down you don't have to, but you can go track down the 7 sages, as you mentioned early on, who are just part of the story, but you never interact with them in the major storyline. So in order to completely complete the game, I've easily got another 20 to 40 hours ahead of me on this game. So you get, in playing through one time, a good 40 to 80 hours of play.
Cool. And you're the one that I think fully completed the game. I don't think anybody else did here, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Kevin's like, fuck no.
No.
Kevin says, shit, I went to work. And this is going to seem like a jokey question, but it's not. I mean, I'm seriously asking this. With so many Pokemon that you have in this game, well, how many do you have, first of all, in this game alone here?
There's 162 to start. Once you complete that, you're given what's called the National Pokedex, and it unlocks several hundred others that you can catch within the game. And of course, you can trade any Pokemon from any other post-third generation game into this Pokemon. So you can theoretically have all 649 Pokemon on your DS in the game.
Man, that sounds heavy. The National Pokedex. Was Nicolas Cage looking for that in one of these movies that he did?
The idea is that where the world of Pokemon, it's one large country, and then there are several regions in this country, and each region you play in a different game. You start out in Kanto in the first game, and then the second game you go to Johto, and there's also the second half of the game lets you go back to Kanto, and this is called the Unova region, and this is the 5th region that you've been able to go into and spend time in. And so there are 5 developed regions of this nation. And so there are Pokemon spread through all out, but many Pokemon only live in certain regions. And this region has 162 different Pokemon. Kanto has 150. And the National Pokedex this is the Pokedex that has all of the Pokemon listed in it.
Gotcha.
I want to see the one where it's like, in one country, it's like, oh, here, Pokemon are a delicacy. And you can find them hanging in window shops next to featherless ducks and stuff.
Isn't that called Thai Pokemon?
Thai Pokemon.
And then you got another country where they're sacred and Pokemon just go around shitting everywhere and nobody can do anything about it because you can't kill them or touch them or anything.
Right. Like all the goddamn monkeys in India.
Yeah, you got Pokemon stealing your shit, but there's nothing you can do about it. But
Isn't that Pokestan?
Yes, Pokedia, whatever. But the point that I was getting to with this is that being that you have such a multitude of these little creatures, these Pokemons, I guess that there are some that are better than others. How many of them do you like? How many of them do you hate? Is there an inordinate amount of dumb Pokemon as compared to really smart Pokemon that you can use? Because it seems to me with so many Pokemon that, you get a few select ones that are designed very well. The AI on them is pretty good, or the strength on them, or the numbers on them are very good. But because there's so many that you probably would have more that are not that good.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have that. There's a lot of cruddy Pokemon or disappointing Pokemon, but each game has a number of really good ones and strong choices. And what's great about the game is designed that the storyline aspect isn't incredibly tough. You're not going to fail because you've chosen the wrong Pokemon. But you will have to train certain Pokemon up more than you would other Pokemon to get them at the same levels. Or you still do have to be kind of smart about the team that you take into fighting the Final Four. They're definitely not a cakewalk. But what the real limiting factor is what your friends are playing. Like, for example, if Jason ends up liking this game and saying, you know what, I really do kind of like this, I want to play it a little more, and he comes over and decides he wants to battle me, he's going to bring his 6 Pokemon into it. I'm going to have my 6 Pokemon. And then after he goes home crying after I beat the living crap out of him, he's going to try to adapt to whatever my team is and go, okay, well, Carlisle's playing with this and this, and he relies heavily on psychic Pokemon, so I'm going to use dark Pokemon that will be really effective against him. So I'm going to create a team of dark Pokemon. And then he comes over and whoops the crap out of me, and then I have to adapt to his team, and you start creating a meta environment with whoever you're playing with in which you ultimately find a balance of what Pokemon work best against what they're generally using and constantly trying to outmatch one another.
Jesus.
And,
you're going down in the first round because I had Michael Vick train all my Pokemon. And they know nothing but hate and a
fear.
lust for blood.
well, yeah, but I brought Michael Richards to train my team, so they just say something in the first round that gets the Michael Vick Pokemon to go, "What'd you say?" And catch him off guard, hit him with the right cross.
And I think Jason, you are using Pokemon Black, so his team would piss you off very well.
Oh, no,
Look at all these nigger Pokemons, But
I'm
came with a
playing
bucket of fried
Pokemon White
chicken.
because I'm not some kind of sick race trader like Carlisle.
Hey, you know what? There's good money in it, okay? That's all I'm going to say.
Sell out.
Come on, Kevin. I know you got a favorite Pokemon. You back there acting jaded and everything, but I know you got.
I can't
Pokemon that you
pronounce
adore.
half the Pokemon, dude. There's so many weird, like, it's just a bunch of scrambled letters, like the jumble and stuff, and I just look at them and I'm like, I'm not trying to even figure that out. Then they ask you if you want to name them, and I just, I don't. I just leave it all,
Kevin's
don't
like,
care.
yeah, he's like, man, I like the one with wings and a beaver tail that shoots water out his ass. That's all I know.
I mean, it's whatever, man. It's a bunch of teddy bears fighting each other and stuff. I just don't really get down too much in terms of what their names are, but whatever. It's cool.
It sounds like, and Carla, I'm glad that you are here because it truly does sound like you have to be into this series and probably into this series for a while to truly judge it, because I get the feeling that Kevin and Jason respect it, but they just don't have the enthusiasm behind it.
It was a fun game. I'm not that into it, but it was kind of cool. I mean, it was a decent RPG story for kids with a really deep leveling up mechanic, and as far as building your army of little teddy bears, as Kevin put it. So it's not a bad game at all. In fact, it's pretty damn cool. I'm just not that into it.
Yeah. So
it's a really great game for a younger audience, I think. But I mean, I'm not saying if you're older that it's not that you can't play it, but like Carlisle, it's like been playing it a long time. I don't know if you would like come into it cold like us and be that into it at this point.
Well, I guess if you were to consider this as a game for the fans or for the children or whatever, it would be very much a full-price game for them. I mean, this game actually broke records when it came out as far as sales go, so at least for a Pokemon title, I believe. So
yeah, it's easily the best Pokemon title they've ever put out. I mean, it really did add things to the gameplay. There's a few quibbles that people have about it, and I'm curious to hear the company's explanation for the various quibbles, because they're things that they seem like they kind of make sense if you look at them in the right way, but they ultimately they improved on almost everything, and they made a really interesting game that it felt really fresh, and it felt like playing the first game all over again.
So you pay full price for this game then?
Oh, absolutely. It is the best video game experience I've had in a while.
Cool. And what about you guys? And what's your final opinion on this?
I say it's full price, but with the caveat of your age. I'm not sure the 40-year-old guy is going to want to go out and buy this, but if you're younger, it's you're totally into it.
Oh, you're the 40-year-old guy who stand outside asking the kid to go ahead and get it for you. It's like the reverse of having a teenager buy beer for you.
Actually, the trick to it is I've had a few times where I've gone on and bought Pokemon-related stuff, various things for the card game or something, and generally, on rare occasions, somebody will ask something. Most of the time they don't, but when somebody goes, "Oh, are you into Pokemon?" You could just go, "Oh, it's for my nephews."
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Please don't
and
put
if
me
it's
on
a
the
cute
watch
counter
list.
girl, they're always like, "Aw, you're such a sweet uncle." It's like, "Thanks, baby."
Yeah.
Now I'm going to go home and play Pokemon.
Oh, shit. I'm going to go buy 2 copies today now. And Jason, you kind of feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a caveat to it. I mean, if it really sounds like I can't disagree with anything that Carlisle says about it. It's a fun game. It's cool. I'm just not that into it. But I imagine that if this is your thing, then this is probably, like he said, the best iteration of its kind. So yeah, I would give it a full price with the caveat that if it's your thing, if you're somebody who's just into it, or if you're a kid who plays Pokemon, then yeah, this is the game for you, because it's rich and there's a lot to it, and definitely a lot of bang for your buck as far as the depth of mechanics and story and options and extra features and so forth.
I'm still picturing a 40-year-old guy outside GameStop. Sir, could you go in and get Pokemon Black for me? Well,
I'm going to try that. I'm going to see how long it takes for a cop to come up and tell me, get the fuck out of there.
No, see, the thing is there is actually a weird aesthetic like that in the community, but it's not with the video games. It's with the card games. And if you go, the thing is, like, here in Austin, we've got the Dragon's Lair, which is an awesome game and comic store that we all shop at. And they have, every Sunday, they have their Pokemon League. And kids come and play Pokemon. And you've got kids as young as 6 and 7 that play, and some kids as old as 13 and 14 that come and compete. But it's mostly all very young, under the age of 10 kids who compete in the Pokemon League. And then you have 2 or 3 adults who play. And they're never guys like me who are just like there and like, oh, hey, everybody, I'm just here to play Pokemon. They're kind of the creepy, disheveled guys who the parents always stand right next to their kid and don't take their eyes off the guy while he's playing. And
they're wearing a bathrobe.
It's not almost. It's almost that level of creepy. So it's.
I choose you. I choose you.
Guy got a hump in his back and shit. Well, I'm glad to hear that it's a fun game for the right crowd. I always like to hear that the right audience is getting the game that they want. And it's all fun and games until you get that one little Pokemon that's like Spartacus and just causes a revolt on your ass one day, and all these Pokemon just climb out the game and beat the shit out of you and get their own freedom back.
Pokemon. What do you like to play? Pokemon. You see, the kids, they listen to the rap, which gives them the brain damage. You see, with their hippin' and the hoppin' and the pippin'